So what happens when the follow-up to one of the biggest cliffhangers in modern-day motion pictures rests with an origin story of a little-known superhero?
Find out this episode of Alternate Ending when we review Captain Marvel.
Isn't it Marvel?
What?
Tune in to Alternate Ending now!
Welcome to Alternate Ending, where we're discovering good movies, one bad movie at a time. I'm film school dropout Robert Jarasinski.
And I'm the casual moviegoer, Carrie Jarasinski.
And while we have different backgrounds and perspectives on movies, our goal is always the same, to help you navigate the cinema world to determine if you should spend big bucks on a flick rushing to theaters, wait for it to come out on streaming, or skip it altogether.
This episode we're talking about Captain Marvel, or Marvel, or whatever her name is, which is based on the Marvel comic book series by the same name. Captain Marvel, originally a duder, was brought into comic book lore back in 1967 by Stan Lee and Company. Since then, Captain Marvel has taken on many forms, but in modern-day comics, Carol Danvers takes the namesake, and the movie version focuses on her loosely adapted origin story.
A critical origin story indeed. For those who've seen Avengers Infinity War, and at this point, I'm not sure how you haven't, you find out during the mid-credit scene that a lot will be riding on Miss Danvers to make the universe right again. So this movie is essentially trying to establish who she is, where she came from, and how she will tie into the overall MCU.
Captain Marvel, who actually is named Veers in the start of this flick, is played by Academy Award-winning actress Brie Larson, who is a Kree warrior being trained by her superior, Jan Rogue, played by a very handsome Jude Law. It is clear that Veers is special, but has challenges controlling her powers due to something from her past.
To protect her planet from an invading race, she ends up on Earth circa 1995 and teams up with a digitally euthanized, that's probably not the right word, digitally de-aged Nick Fury, played by Samuel L. Jackson, and a ton of CGI. They team up together on a treasure hunt of sorts with shape-shifting alien threats in hot pursuit. In addition, Annette rounds out the cast along with Ben Mendelsohn as Talos, leader of the alien threat, who has some great comedic throwaway lines. Co-written and directed by the collaborative duo of Annette Boden and Ryan Fleck, who've specialized in bringing indie flicks to the big screen like Half Nelson, It's Kind of a Funny Story, Care, one of your favorites, and Mississippi Grind. This romp into the superhero universe is a bit of a departure from their usual filmography and budget. Care, what did you think of Captain Marvel?
Well, I went in a little bit cold on this one. I didn't watch the trailer or read much about it beforehand. I had never actually even really heard of Captain Marvel or her origin, and really didn't know anything about her powers, which made it all the more fun to see her unveil her strengths. I have loved 100% of the performances I've seen Brie Larson in, and while I've only seen Room, the statistics still look good. The highlights for me were, first, I loved seeing another female superheroine. Brie Larson's performance was a departure from what Gal Gadot brought us with Wonder Woman, but still, Larson's presence is stoic and strong, while still teasing in some good humor and banter. Next, the anti-aging effects that Rob talked about are pretty ridiculous. They shave a good 20 years off Nick Fury and Agent Coulson, and the CGI is executed so well, you'll completely forget their special effects at all. And last, the humor totally worked for me. It's not jam-packed with it, but the jokes that are there were a hit for the theater and for me. So the lowlights, and full disclosure, I did order a larger than average beer at the concession stand, but I'm happy I did that. However, somewhere in the middle of the movie, I sort of lost track of the story. I couldn't remember who was fighting who and who was on whose side, and frankly, I kind of forgot about Captain Marvel's goal. I guess overall, it just started to drag a bit, and the writing sort of lost me. Overall, it's fun and enjoyable, and a good add to the Marvel Universe's list of origin stories. I give Captain Marvel 3.5 stars, and while I don't think it's entirely worth racing to theaters for, if you're planning to see it and you're really excited about Marvel movies, the effects will be best enjoyed on the big screen. So what did you think about it, Rob?
Well, Care, as a self-proclaimed comic book geek, I actually know next to nothing about Captain Marvel. My draw to Marvel comic books has been the human and flawed characters, unlike the godlike heroes in the DC universe. Part of me not having interest in Captain Marvel was I've always heard the character referred to as Marvel's Superman equivalent. Despite that background, I went in with high hopes and tagged it as my most anticipated movie of March. Mainly, if I'm being honest, because of the tie-in to Avengers Endgame coming in April. Highlights for me were 90s retro. I've been waiting for the next generation of filmmakers to encapsulate the 90s, and this movie didn't disappoint. From glimpses of storefronts no longer in existence to household items and tech, I was right back to my flannel-wearing days. If anything, they went a little over the top. Second, the fight scenes. Instead of blasters, for the most part, the Captain Marvel fight choreography relied primarily on good old hand-to-hand combat, boosted by wires. The team put in a lot of effort, and it was impressive to see the co-directors handling action so well for their first time. Lowlights for me were, first, unlike you care, Brie Larson. Or the writing, I can't tell. I've loved Brie in Room, which was a well-deserved Oscar nomination. Unfortunately, in subsequent roles since then, like Kong Skull Island and Free Fire, I haven't been given a whole lot to see from her. I assumed it was the writing, and that very well may be the case here, but she's running out of opportunities. Her performance is fine, but doesn't wow as the lead centerpiece. She does have some fun Maverick-type moments of not taking guff from others and additional bits of humor, but it's just not enough for me. Second, plot. I had trouble caring about the plight of the characters. There are flashbacks, moments of loss, discovery, and all that just seems to fall flat. We're meant to care, but we're not given much reason to. As the second movie in a few weeks to feature a female badass lead discovering her past to understand her future, Captain Marvel takes a backseat to Alita in my opinion. Overall, I give Captain Marvel 3 stars and only suggest rushing out to theaters to see this on the big screen if you're a completionist and want to see all the Marvel movies leading up to Avengers. Otherwise, wait for it to come out on streaming.
Well, we love hearing from everyone, so share your thoughts on Captain Marvel or Marvel with us. We have other videos like this one we would love for you to check out.
And be sure to check back regularly to make sure you don't miss out on our movie reviews, trailer reactions, and live shows. If you want more details about all the stuff we're up to, including weekly movie giveaways, head to our website at alternateending.com. We'll catch you next time.
Tune in to alternate ending.